Welcome everyone, we have a new guide today for Honkai starrail. As you can see behind me, we actually have some important official patch notes that is summarized into English about the changes of 5-star characters and also 5-star weapons. And this is pretty much the pre-launch or the launch buffs to different characters. So on the first part of the video, we'll have a look at how this will affect the 7-starter 5-star characters and which of the characters may be going up on the list in the rerolling or the picking of 5-star characters. So we'll be going through a lot of information before and during the launch of the game, and hopefully this gives you guys more insight to prepare for the game and also to have your best of luck with getting 5 stars. Now coming over to the first part, so what is happening is that on the Chinese official Bilibili, this is from the developers of Genshin Impact, they have posted that there are changes to the characters upon the launch of the game, and this is official information. So over here, Printer.gg have summarized this into English, and it is definitely much easier than me trying to translate from Chinese. So let's go through the buff and also nerfs to different characters. Now there is only some small nerfs, but there's multiple buffs to different 5-star characters. Now do keep in mind, we're still waiting for the skill multipliers, and during the recording of this video, we do not have those numbers. So the first change will be Bronya. So what you can see is before the change and also after the change for the Bronya active spell. And if we look at the skill description, we can see that Bronya has been slightly nerfed. So what is happening is, a lot of players in the closed beta, they are abusing a certain mechanics of Bronya. Because what I do is, maybe I'll show you guys Bronya so we can get a better understanding. So back in the beta, a lot of players were abusing the method of Bronya, which allows her to reset her own turn using her skill. So Bronya will cast her own spell onto herself. And then after that, Bronya will have a pretty much 100% uptime with her ultimate. Now of course, this is not the method to use for Bronya with every build, because you do want to buff in your allies and also advance their turn first as well. So this is one of the, I guess, a method players were using for certain instances and also for certain dungeons and also for certain team build. So they will use the advance herself, Bronya will advance herself, and then Bronya will cast her ultimate with additional resource, additional turn, and also additional energy, right? So this is the nerf that was intended for Bronya. So now if Bronya casts her skill onto herself, she does not get forward by 100%. So she just get the damage buff and also remove a debuff. So this is the direction of the developers that they are taking. I don't think it is, designed that Bronya will do this to herself, so that if she become an infinite loop of better energy and better ultimate. So the design was that Bronya was a buffing unit to support other characters. And yes, this is the biggest nerf, I guess, to Bronya. Bronya is still good a unit, but she is not going to be the golden star that goes everything, right? Because if Bronya had this one and people were abusing this one, then you don't need any support. Bronya herself is the support. So this is definitely a nerf to Bronya, but in majority of the gameplay, I don't think we'll be doing this a lot to Bronya until we have a certain team count. And Bronya still works very well with her active spell when she supports allies. Now coming over to some good looking buffs. So the first buff we have is going to be Welt. Welt's ultimate used to increase his damage by 25%. Now Welt's ultimate will increase the entire party's damage against enemy for a certain number of turns. So Welt, before he was a higher DPS character with a crowd control effect. Now Welt can become a supporting character with his ultimate, which imprison enemies, slowing down their speed, and also amplifying the damage the enemy takes for the whole party. It is very likely this is the whole party. We don't have the full translations, but once we get into the game, if we do get our hands on Welt, we'll have a look. So this is a great buff that will push Welt up with the support list. And finally, we have a buff to Unico. And this is the DPS character I was talking about. See, when I was making that tier list, everyone's like, no man, Unico sucks. Unico should be at the bottom of the list with Gepid. And I was like, I see potential in her. So Unico actually had the biggest change. And this is actually her major traits. So this is one of her skill traits. So before the change, with basic attack, Unico will have 80% chance to burn enemies, and this deals fire damage over time. Notice that this only works with basic attack, and usually DPS characters, you don't want basic attack, and you want to have all the attacks. And after the change, all of Unico's attacks now have a chance to inflict burning damage onto a number of turns, and enemy receive burning damage at the start of their turn. And this is actually really good, right? The bigger change is that before it was just basic attack. Now with all of Unico's attacks, which have a lot of AoE, can deal burn damage to enemies. And this is definitely a huge buff to Himiko, and if you guys are planning to go with her, this is really good. Now, of course, there were other changes with the weapons in the game. If you guys do want to have a look, if you happen to get those weapons, definitely have a look. But because those weapons are gated behind the banners, and likely you won't be going for rolling for the weapons at the start of the game. And of course, on the second part, we'll talk about the weapon that will be free in the game, which are 5 stars. So we'll talk about those weapons. But those weapons were not the one that was buffed or changed over here. So for the sake of the video, I'll leave this to you guys if you want to have a quick read. So you can see some very small buff. So you can see this goes from 20% to 24%, or like this goes from 20% to 18%, and 20% to 24%. They're just tweaking the numbers. Now coming over to the second part, which we talk about the character selection after the change and also buffs and also nerfs with the launch of the game. About character selection and which of the best starter to go for after the nerfs and also the changes. So I guess what we can see is that currently we have Blue and also we have Bronya. Before, Bronya will be in front of Blue for me. Now I think Bronya will go behind Blue as the top 2 supporting characters, simply because one of her mechanics was slightly nerfed. After that, we do have 3 characters I'm happy to go with an A tier, and we can go with Clara for counter, and now Walt is definitely going up on the list for me because his ability to amplify the team's damage. So I'm still ranking them by categories, notice that, but I'm ranking them in different orders, and this is a bigger difference. So previously, a lot of players were saying Unico sucks, she's like the worst unit in the game, and she scales really low. So with a buff to Himiko, I don't know why I say Unico. So with a buff to Himiko, I'll put her up on the A tier list. I might even put her in front of Walt, because she's a damage dealer for me. And of course, we have Chuching over here. So I do like the damage dealers, and I tend to put the damage dealers a little higher, especially when they have the ability to wave clear. So Himiko, after the buffs, I will put her higher. Now, it is a personal preference whether you guys like DPS characters or supporting characters. If you like supporting characters, that means you're playing the long run. But if you like DPS characters, this will allow you to clear the content faster. But of course, you need a healer, right? If you get a 5-star healer, it is very good for the later game of the content, simply because the game will get difficult and you need a healer. Whether a 4-star healer or 5-star healer, you definitely need one on your team. So this is the choice. You guys can go with the supporting characters, or you can go with the DPS characters. And this is what I recommend going for now with the top 4 characters with the changes. And of course, don't forget Welt. If you wanted super good support, and also a really good unit, if we have PvP, Welt can be on the top of the list if we have PvP, right? So just in case you guys remember, Welt did get a buff as well for the increase of damage for the whole party with his ultimate. So let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think about those buffs and also nerfs different characters? And this is usually a standard with miHoYo. They do tend to buff or nerf characters before the launch or before the release of the patch. So don't be too surprised. And would you still be going for, Bronya? Would you be going for Bilu? Would you be going for Welt? Or would you be going for Himiko with the buffs? Let me know, guys. Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.